I started trying to do this stuff without a coach, without any real estate experience. That I only made $500 because of all the mistakes that I made. I made $500 on it, but I made money. Take the classes, get involved in a group, build up your confidence, because the first deal is really scary.
All right. So welcome everyone to the Real Estate Level Up podcast. This is where I get to interview people who are experienced, people who are new, and people who are everywhere in between, people whose paths I cross that I think you would find interesting and find inspiration from. And our guest today is someone who I've known for quite some time, someone who has done real estate very part-time and does about one deal a year. But we're working on gently kicking her in the butt to ramp that up this year. And I'm going to talk about that. And so she's someone who's become a friend of mine and someone who I think you're going to find inspiration from if you are brand new to real estate investing, going, gosh, can I really do this while I'm working a full-time gig? Can I really build a portfolio? Or maybe you're somebody who's done a handful of deals and it's time to ramp up, and you'll align with Veronica's story and where she come from and where she's headed. But I want to introduce to you Veronica McCann. Welcome to the Real Estate Level Up podcast, Veronica. How are you today?
Thank you, Andrew. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you're someone who I met several years ago, and you was doing this real estate thing. You was starting very part-time. And you've had your share of challenges, and you continue to overcome them, and also slower than I want you to. So we're going to talk about that. And at the same time, you do about a deal a year. And so I want you to bring everybody up to speed. You do it in a market that's not the easiest to do it in, that's for sure. And you still do deals. So where do you live? Where are you from? And outside of business, before we get to real estate investing, outside of business, who is Veronica?
Okay, well, I live outside of Tacoma, Washington, in kind of rural-ish Pierce County, and I've been here since '93. I retired from I got out of the military at that point and stayed in the reserves. So, I had a full-time job and reserve for a long time until I retired in 2004. And then it was around 2011 that I started thinking about real estate. I was looking for a place to live down here in Tacoma. I was working in Seattle at the time, and I had just gotten a job down here in Tacoma at Fort Lewis. And I found myself gravitating towards all these fixer-uppers. I was like, I really want to just fix this place up and sell it. And finally the realtor said, I don't think you're looking so much for a home as for some kind of real estate investing. I said, well, I'd really like to start doing that. And so 2011 is when I got my feet wet, got my first flip. I made $500 on it, but I made money. And so I didn't lose it. And, other than that, I'm other things that I'm involved with. I'm a board member of my church. I also lead the worship team, which is the singing portion of the service for those who may not know that. I've got chickens in my backyard. I've got a dog and a cat, and I love my chickens. And they're a lot of fun to be around.
Are they the laying hens?
Well, 9 of them are laying hens, and I've got 1 rooster.
Nice.
And I have hatched a load of chicks one time. That was really cool. When they hatched, I remember looking at them and saying, wow, it really works without human intervention.
That's a breakthrough moment. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for your service. I think something that I find about you, Veronica, is you're someone who, a lot of times I'll have somebody on when I started this podcast a few years back, and I started just doing it every so often. I didn't do it consistently, and I would just find someone who had maybe done 50 or 100 deals or 4,000 or 5,000 units. I would just have people on at those stages. And I thought, man, that's inspiring because that inspired me. And then I started realizing that a lot of people who come into our community are looking for their first deal or their fifth deal or the 12th deal. And they're going, hey, I like that, but also I find inspiration from somebody who just got their first deal or somebody who's doing, one deal a year for the last several years. And so I started doing this consistently, and it gives me an opportunity for somebody like yourself, who I've known for a while, to just really catch up on life, and for you to share some inspiration from a perspective maybe that will inspire somebody's listening. So first off, somebody's listening to this right now. And let's say they're going, gosh, I've done one deal, or I'm looking for my first deal. Where the heck should they start? I wouldn't say probably it's Seattle or Tacoma. Where the heck should they start looking for real estate? And what's the first step they should do?
The first step would be to get involved in the group like Andrew's. In all seriousness, I'm not saying that just because I'm talking to Andrew. I started trying to do this stuff without a coach, without any real estate experience. That I only made $500 because of all the mistakes that I made on my first deal. And I have been very grateful to have people that I can count on. And I've been involved in a lot of different groups, and they all have their positives and their negatives. But Andrew's group is a little bit different than the others because it really is a cooperative group, in that everyone works together. There's no competitors here. It's truly a family atmosphere where people want to partner up and advise, and coaching's available. Classes are available. Oh my goodness. There's more classes available here that you could get just being part of the community that you can't get anywhere else. And so that's what I would recommend. Take the classes, get involved in a group, and build up your confidence, because the first deal is really scary, because you wonder, oh my gosh, do I have the money for this? Am I going to make money? Am I going to lose money? What's going on? And being involved in a group like this will help the butterflies. It'll help calm you down. It'll give you confidence, and you've got a safety net. If something goes wrong, somebody will be able to come along and be that safety net for you.
And thank you for sharing that. And, as someone like yourself, because, we hear different backgrounds or stories, but I think several listening today are going to resonate because, not only are you retired military officer, like a ghostwriter, you have a lot of cool things, right? You're just cancer survivor. And those are on the life side. But I know you talk about your mission being to create lasting security for your autistic son, right? You talk a lot about faith and resilience and never quitting, but I want to dig in a little bit to the good, the bad, and the ugly. And before we get to the good, I want to go down the road to the bad and the ugly, because I know you talk about, in the pre-show prep, you were talking about some of the challenges you went through when you had hard money lenders. You lost, I think, 65 grand many years ago on flips you was working on. You had a bad partnership go sideways. Like, life was kind of punching you in the face, so to speak, multiple times in a row. How the heck did you figure out how to survive that season and be here a couple of decades later, decade and a half later, still swinging?
Well, to be perfectly honest, my faith played a huge part in that. It was like every time, I went through my savings. I went through, retirement accounts, stocks. I had to sell a bunch of stocks off, but it was like every time a payment was due, the money was there. I'd pray about it. I said, Lord, I don't know where this money's going to come from. And I really didn't want to declare bankruptcy. And true to form, every single time I needed something, it showed up. I prayed about it. It showed up. And to the point where we finally got the property sold. Yes, I still lost a lot of money, but I was still here. I hadn't declared bankruptcy, and that was a huge success for me.
What year was it that you had that 65K loss?
I believe it was 2016, 17, somewhere in that time frame.
So I want to, because I met you, around 2020, I believe, right?
Somewhere in there.
Was it right before, right after? I think it was right before COVID. I believe is when we met. So we meet, but before that, so you're having this 2016, 2017, you're having this go around, you're losing money, you're talking to God, like, hey, just let me, you survive that without filing bankruptcy. Like, what's going through your mind when you're losing the money, when the partnership's going sideways? Like, do you consider quitting real estate forever? Do you consider like never partnering with somebody again? Like, what actually is going through? Take me to that moment.
That was definitely a prayer time, and I was like, Lord, do you even want me in real estate anymore? I don't understand what's going on. I mean, I prayed about this before I got involved in it, and I really felt like this was the way that he wanted me to go. And what's funny is it seems like every time I pray, whenever I have a setback, I mean, even from there, I've still had setbacks, but every time I'm praying about it, I'm like, Lord, is this where you want me to be? Am I supposed to be in real estate, or am I supposed to get out of it?
Yeah.
And every single time I pray that way, some opportunity comes in front of me that turns it around. I can't explain it. It just happens that way.
Mhm.
And so I'm staying in real estate because I feel like the Lord, for some reason, still wants me in real estate. And I still feel that that is still the answer to financial security.
Yeah.
That's why I keep coming back.
And I thank you for sharing that, Veronica. And I think, you talk about being too soft hearted for the business. I think I've always related to you in that way because I've always had a heart to inspire and empower others. I always had a heart to help others. And when I self-manage, of course, at the time when I had the 66 unit mobile home park and I had all the houses, the single families and the 12 unit, it didn't work for me. I was not cut out to be a low rental pricing property manager. I just didn't have it in me, and I survived. But I think we resonate with one another in that way a lot. But I want to dig a little deeper. Like, tell me about this partnership. How did you come out of that partnership that gone bad, and how did that affect your decisions going forward?
Well, the way the partnership was set up is that I was the money person and they were the contractors doing the work. And it started out okay. The jobs that we had, there were two of them that came at the same time. I said, whichever one comes back first, that's the one we're going with. They both came back at exactly the same time. And against my better judgment, I let them convince me that we could do both, even though they were 50 miles apart. And so both of them should have been just a facelift, new floors, maybe new paint, and a few things like that. Pretty easy, done 2 or 3 months, done. And both of them ended up being torn down to the rafters at various stages and basically rebuilt almost from the ground up. And I'm paying hard money month after month after month. Contractors are taking draws out, and then they start taking draws out to pay their mortgage. And I was like, well, wait a minute. This isn't part of the deal here. Well, you don't want us to lose our house, do you? And so, I didn't, I mean, what was I going to do? Saying, well, no, I don't want you to lose your house. So anyway, so I let it go. And I thought, when all was said and done, and I was out all of this money, I literally did think about taking them to court and making them pay for half of the loss. And again, I prayed about it, and I just felt like, no, just let it go. God will take care of it. God will take care of me. Let it go. And so that's what I did.
That was an expensive seminar, but I
Very-
want to ask you.
Before I got involved with
Yeah. um, and I often hear it said like we pay for education either way. Either you pay for it in training expense and investment, or else we pay for it in the real life challenges. And sometimes if you're like you or I, we pay for it in real life challenges, then we get the right training. And that's how
right.
we have to build. I want to dig in one deeper before we talk though about your real estate growth, because you come through that, you come out of that. And I think a lot of people listening to this can relate, because many of us get into real estate going, gosh, I just want to help others. I just want to do good. I just want to do God's work, or I just want to do, and then, we have challenges and things go sideways. And sometimes that's a tough road to hoe, as we used to say. Like it's a road that we have to figure out. And then on top of all this, you talk about overcoming cancer and how that changed your life. What year did you find out about the cancer diagnosis?
It was December 2022.
So you've come out of all this. You're working on other projects. You're starting to get consistently and doing a deal a year or so.
Things are going great.
Yes. Yes. And then you hear this. What changes in you when you hear the word cancer? What internally starts to go on? What's the thought process?
Oh, fear. And what if? And what's my son going to do if I don't survive this? And, what am I going to do with all my properties? How am I going to handle all of this? I mean, a million questions and doubts go through the mind. And I finally said, no, I'm not going to succumb to this fear. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to work on it. And I had made a decision a long time ago. There's been cancer in my family, my mom's family mostly, and I often ask myself, what would I do if I got cancer? And of course, I never thought I really would. But
Yeah.
I decided I was not going to go through chemo. I wasn't going to go through radiation or anything like that. I wanted to deal with it naturally. And so I got involved with, I don't know if you want me to say the name, but I got involved with a group down in Mexico that helped me deal with it naturally. And it was almost completely gone naturally.
Can you share more
And
about that? Like how did you choose alternative? Because I'm assuming that the best option laid out in front of you by doctors would have probably been chemo. Am I correct about that? And so,
surgery, radiation, and chemo. Yeah.
yeah. So you're hearing the diagnosis, you're hearing the options in front of you, and you say, I'm going to find this alternative treatment in Mexico. Like, where did that come from? How did you find out about it? How did you process that?
I knew people that were in the natural health realm, and then my sister also knew somebody. She said, you need to get hold of this person here and ask her. She went down to Mexico and she was cured of breast cancer naturally. And so I did. So I got hold of her and she referred me down to the place that she went to. And I spent 3 weeks down there in person, going through all sorts of treatments, like massive doses of vitamin C and B and other, light beds and hyperbaric chambers. I mean, there was all sorts of treatments that I went through for 3 weeks, and then I had a year-long program after that. And yeah, and it was really cool to watch that cancer just get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it was just this little residual that I wasn't sure about. So I did finally opt for a minor surgery to take care of that, and that was it. And then I had to change my diet. I had to change my lifestyle, and it was very eye opening. It was not easy. I will tell you that, because changing your diet is never, I don't know, maybe for some people it's easy. It was not for me.
Yeah.
And it
Change.
worked.
And what was the investment or cost for the 3-week treatment that you went through?
The 3 weeks plus the year long after that, probably about $60,000 altogether.
And was you able to get that covered with insurance, or you had to pay it out of pocket?
Oh, that was out of pocket. Insurance wouldn't cover Mexico.
Yeah.
So that's where I dipped into my 401k. I borrowed some money. Yeah, but it was another one of those things where I made the decision to do this, and I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to pay for this. And this is another one of those things I prayed about. I said, Lord, if you want me to do this, you have to show me where to get the money. And it appeared wherever I needed it. I got what I needed to
Yeah.
take care of it.
And thank you for sharing that, because as you share that, you're someone, and I think that's the beautiful part is we're better together. And when you find people to surround yourself by, for good and wrong, and good and bad, you've had your share of getting knocked down, that's for sure. And while I'm excited, I'm giddy. You talk about your vision and the 60 acres that you're going to have in the farm, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But in getting there, you've been sometimes through decisions, sometimes through mistakes, sometimes through lack of knowledge, through bad partnerships, through health that couldn't be planned for. Like, you get life happens, and life happens to all of us. And I know that it's not in what happens to us, but how we react to it. And I want to dig in a little deeper on that, because you're someone who inspires me so much in your constant faith and mindset around that. You talk a lot about God's provision. You talk about the low times when He always provides. Like, what role does prayer play in those hardest seasons, and how do you pray? Like, what's that look like?
It depends on the situation I'm in. I learned about flare prayers a number of years ago, and that's basically a God help me right now.
Yeah.
You know what to do, I don't. And sometimes the prayers are like that. Other times it's like on my knees, on my face before the Lord, saying, Lord, what do you want me to do? I don't know. I don't know what to do. Show me something. Open a door, close a door, and I mean, I read the Bible every night, and spend time with God. I'm the worship leader at church, and even through some of this hard times, the church has been my rescue in a
Mm.
lot of ways. Being the worship leader and going in and singing songs to the Lord on Saturday night and Sunday morning, practice and then church, has been a lot of saving grace, because that has, singing to the Lord just builds me up and gets my feet back on the ground. And so that's pretty much it. I mean, it just depends on the circumstances. It says pray without ceasing. And so when I find myself driving in the car, I have conversations with the Lord about this or that or that or this. And do I hear a voice answering me back, Veronica, do this? No, of course not. But it's the little nudge. It's the impressions I get in my mind, the feeling in my gut that says go this way.
Yeah.
And I've learned to listen to my gut, because a lot of times that's the Holy Spirit speaking to me, saying,
Yeah.
do it this way.
And thank you for sharing that, because you're someone who, over the years, you just never give up. And I think that's a takeaway. Somebody watching this who's maybe getting punched in the face right now, who's getting knocked down, kicked while they're knocked down, and they're going, oh my gosh, like I really, like, me and God got this. And I think that's such a gift that you're able to give. I have another question, a practical question, before we get into what the future looks like and how you're running your real estate business and it's evolving. How do you stop negative self-talk when the setbacks just keep piling up? Like, what's the process?
The one thing that I never say is, what could be any worse? Because it can always be worse.
Yeah.
And, I never ask God the question of that type of stuff. But I do ask Him, what now, God? What do you want me to do? What do you expect from me? I don't understand. And, I do allow myself some negative self-talk, and I give myself usually a time limit, or my sister calls me up and kicks me in the behind and say, okay, your 5 minutes of negative self-talk is over, so it's time to turn it around. So we had a talk like that again today. So so again, it things that I've learned at various seminars along the way, that basically the best way to go about a lot of things is what worked, what didn't, what's next. And
That's a writer downer.
What's that?
That's a writer downer. What worked, what didn't, what's next. I like that.
Move on.
Very concise.
Right.
What does so you talk about the 60 acres, the dream life, the farm, and every time we have a chat about that, like you light up, because I know you're building towards some things for yourself, for your son, for God, and that excites me for you. But I want to ask you, what does, in this season, what is a breakthrough, or what is, like, breaking through that next level? What does that look like for you?
As far as purchases, or as far as the results, I'm not sure.
The results.
So as far as the results go, I want all my debt paid off, except for I discount the debt for real estate. I'm
Yep.
talking about personal debt. So I want all my personal debt gone. I mean, my house is paid off. I have a HELOC. I have credit cards. So for me, those need to get paid off first. And then I want to work towards my 60-acre little mini farm with my horses, 2 horses and cattle and chickens and maybe some goats. I haven't decided yet, but I want a place to ride my horses, and a nice little arena and a barn and raise cows, grass-fed, natural, organic type cows, and live nicely,
I
preferably
love
with a
that.
significant other, like a spouse. That would be even better.
Yes. Have you downloaded the Truca dating app yet? I'm joking. Um,
I'm
Good
waiting
place
for
to
it.
meet good people. All right, I'll talk to Leah. We'll start working on that, Veronica.
Okay,
And
cool.
thank you for sharing that. By the way, you may know this. Amanda, another Freedom Life community member, she loves her horses as well. I don't know if you guys have got into the horse talk yet, but
Not fully,
something
just a little bit.
that's awesome. So something I want to point out, and for you, Veronica, and this is something I know a lot of people listening to this can do. I say often, you can do so much more than you think you can, in so much less time than you think. And in your perspective, in your case, what happens is you've been doing this business for years, for almost 15 years this year. You, for the last 5 years, have been doing a deal a year, and you continue to build, you continue to grow, you continue to develop, except being able, because every setback costs you a certain amount of time. And I always ask myself, and for anybody listening to this, I think this is a game changer. I call it identifying the bottlenecks. And I ask myself, what's the things right now that is the bottleneck? And most entrepreneurs, we spend months, weeks, or some people years working on what we believe to be the bottleneck, right? Some people, I just need more customers. I just need more houses. I just need more leads. I just need more private money. I just need more whatever. And they fill in the blank, and they spend long periods of time working on the thing they believe to be their bottleneck, and they miss the actual bottleneck. And so they work in this loop, and they get some progress, but it is a third of the speed or 10% the speed they could get. And the thing I would say for anybody listening to this, and Veronica, I'm excited for you. I know we're going to be together in a few weeks. Something I'm excited for you is that bottleneck to be identified, because as you work as a bit of a solopreneur, I know for me, I had bad partnerships, and it's like, screw that. I'm not going down that road again. And then I ended up getting into, thank you God, the most incredible partnership in business, and in brotherhood as well. And that is being able to build an empire together in a way that I never would have otherwise been able to. And I think for you in this season ahead, being able to identify the actual bottlenecks rather than the surface, what we believe to be the bottlenecks, is going to be the linchpin to 2026, being 2, 3, 5 deals instead of the one that we've been averaging, in 2027 to be that again. And through that, the 60-acre dream life pops up. And I'm very excited for you to accomplish that. I want to ask you two final questions, Veronica. I always love getting to hang out and chat with you. The first question, or the next to last question I want to ask is, if you had one gift for everybody listening to this, one word of inspiration, what is that thing that you want to deliver and say, hey, if I can do it, you can do it too. Here's the piece. Here's the magic. Here's the thing.
I'd say never quit. Just keep at it, because the breakthrough's coming. I mean, I believe that. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't still be here.
Yeah, that's powerful. And thank you for sharing that, and for not only verbalizing that, but for living that out. One more question. How do people reach out to you? Somebody's inspired by you, says, gosh, I want to connect with this incredible lady. They find you on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, email. What's best?
I'm on Facebook. It's under Veronica Petra McCann. And I've also got Fellowship Housing Solutions Facebook page. I've got Fellowship Housing Solutions website. And my email address is kind of based on my name. It's vlproperties at either gmail or aol.com. And it's VEE and then capital ELL. So it's like my first initial, middle initial,
Oh,
properties plural, at either AOL or Gmail. I've got both of those.
like that. Okay. And note for the team, put that email and contact info in the show notes for anybody who wants to connect with Veronica. Veronica, it is so good hanging out with you today, and thank you for sharing everything that is going on in your world with us. And I'm excited to see you in person in a few days, my friend.
Yep. coming quick. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for listening. I will see you on the next Real Estate Level Up podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Veronica. Bye-bye.
Bye.